Assalamu alaikum. I used to feel like a loser for most of my life. What I don't tell people that much is that I grew up with my brother and he over succeeded me in literally everything. Everything that sort of mattered at the time. So we went to school, and just as all the other Muslims, we were expected to outperform everyone, get the best grades, get A pluses every time. My brother, even though he wasn't trying that much, even though he didn't seem any more dedicated than I was, but he managed to get Ace every single time. He absolutely killed it in school and in university. And I used to beat myself up a lot. I used to cry a lot, and I used to I don't even want to tell you. But I used to be very sad. And this is specifically because I felt like no matter how hard I tried, I wasn't able to succeed in the things that I was expected to succeed in. I was like this for a majority of my life. And I'm very curious as to who else can relate to this sort of experience. If you kind of identify as that kind of person, give me a comment below. But I felt like that until I discovered one secret. Not really a secret, it's pretty basic psychology. And I was able to become more successful than anyone around me. So I went from literally every single person being more successful than me, and I couldn't figure out why, to me being more successful than every single person, and I still can't figure out why. Well, I know now because I understood the secret. But in this video, I'm going to explain this to you. And if you implement this correctly, firstly, this has to remove your guilt of not being good enough, which is going to, inshallah, boost your confidence. Secondly, it's actually going to allow you to succeed. So this is one of the best things that I've ever learned. This is going to relate to personality traits. I made a few videos about this, but I'm going to explain this to you in an angle that you probably never heard before. I'm going to sound gay for saying this, and I thought about whether I should say this or not. But who's here? Have you seen Kung Fu Panda? Okay, I rewatched it a month ago or something. Something I watched when I was really young, obviously. And when we're young, we watch these movies, these kids movies, and we don't really think much of it. We don't know why, but it's interesting. There's something about these movies that's really interesting. Every single movie has a really, really deep psychological meaning behind it. What do you think is the meaning of Kung Fu Panda? Take a moment and try to remember what happens, the storyline, what the characters look like. It all has a reason. Try to figure out what it is. There's the monkey, I think there's the mantis, there's the snake, tiger, and it's why are there all these weird animals? Why are they all different animals? Because all animals, usually there's a bunch of tigers, there's a bunch of pandas, there's a bunch of ducks. But in here, everyone's different. The meaning behind it is that every single person has their own style of succeeding. And they're all good at fighting based on exactly what their body is, what animal they are. And that's why all the characters are so different, because it's a true representation of human beings. If our internal personality types were manifested on the surface, we would all look entirely different. We would be entirely different animals. Some of us would be big and strong, some of us would be small and agile. So this main character, the panda, grows up. His father is a duck. He's adopted, but obviously that's another metaphor, because usually you feel bad for being different than your parents, and your parents are generally completely different from you. So his father's a duck, and he wants him to be exactly like him. He wants him to be a restaurant owner, and he assumes that he's going to be interested in that as well. But he's interested in Kung Fu, right? So the first part is when he actually crosses over to Kung Fu. But the whole idea is by weird fate, Like he ends up going up in those fireworks, and then he lands exactly where the person is pointing. He's destined for this specific skill set, which is fighting. Now what happens? He goes there and he's trash. He's getting destroyed by everyone. And the masters are trying to teach him their way, exactly how they do it. That's the equivalent of you going to school and they're trying to teach you exactly how some of the masters do it. They're doing it based on what works for them. So he's trash. He can't beat anyone. He wants to quit. At the end, he reads that he opens that scroll, like the dragon formula or something, and it's just a reflection of himself, right? And then suddenly, like when they know, everyone's sure that he can't fight, like this guy's destroying, Tai Lung is destroying the village. He realizes, okay, it's all inside you. It's you need to be yourself. You need to fight. You need to improve in the way that matches yourself. And then he goes and he beats up Tai Lung, and he just becomes a really good fighter out of nowhere. That's sort of what my life felt like. When I kept trying to succeed in what other people wanted me to succeed in, I kept losing. As soon as I decided to start living true to my own personality, I outcompeted everyone in many realms. And this is where it gets kind of interesting, because some people will be like, well, if you're good at drawing, if you're good at, writing or something, that's not a very monetizable skill. So, how are you going to be a writer, and how are you going to get rich if you need to feed your family? That's a very good point. It's not as narrow as one skill set. I've always been pretty good at writing, like creative writing. But I knew this wasn't something that would really be a career, because it's not monetizable. But it's not about one thing, it's about what are you good at for your personality. Let's go back to our 5 dimensions. I hope you watched the videos, but I'll go over them again. You got conscientiousness, you got openness, you got extroversion, you got agreeableness, you got neuroticism. And you need to figure out where you rank on each one of these. This is the way it gets really interesting, and it gets a little bit dark. If you are conscientious, you are born conscientious. There's a difference in your brain structure. It's not just a subjective thing. Your brain is different if you're conscientious. You will be very adored and admired by everyone in the Muslim world, mostly your family, because you're going to be hardworking. You're going to be discuss sensitive, which is, for some reason, Muslims are all like that. Orderly, industrious. And ultimately, this actually makes it easier for you to follow your deen, because you are more orderly. You can create routines. You have structure in your life. You are less likely to mess something up. So now let's imagine you are low in conscientiousness, but everyone around you is pretty high in it. You're going to feel like a loser, and you're going to be treated as a loser for most of your life, because it's easier for everyone else to succeed. It's harder for you in that specific realm that they've sort of constructed in their minds. Yeah, so being analytical and being like black and white mathematician, that means you're smart, because I'm good at that. And then everybody has to follow it. It's an unfair game. That's why I was a loser my whole life. Exactly this reason. What are you going to do if you're low in conscientiousness? Unfortunately, statistically, you will live less, you are more likely to contract diseases, and you are also less likely to succeed. You'll have lower IQ, and you will make less money, statistically speaking. But this is where it gets interesting. So all these studies are very, very proven. They're very, very strong facts. However, if you are like me and you are pretty low in conscientiousness, I'm probably like somewhere in the middle, but I'm not high. Like I'm like a little bit on the lower side. That's where I approximated it, because I'm very disorderly, as you probably know. You need to look for what you are actually good at. For example, I am quite high in extroversion. you might be pretty high in extroversion. What that means is that actually increases your chances of success if you pursue a field that's connected to extroversion, sales, entertainment, being an actor. In that field, now you're able to overtake people who are conscientious. In terms of money, in terms of everything, because alhamdulillah, we live in a capitalist world in which you are able to monetize your skills no matter what they are, but as long as you do it in the right direction. So let's say you can't work as much as anyone, you don't have enough stress tolerance, you are less orderly than everyone, but you are more creative than everyone because you are higher in openness, which is 100%. I'm very, very high in openness. You can overtake all these conscientious people by starting a YouTube blog, by writing poems, and writing poems doesn't pay that much, but any creative industry, being an actor, being a I'm having a mind blank. There's a lot of fields where openness will help you, but what the most profitable one is starting a business, because if you're high in openness, you are able to generate ideas really, really quickly. But if you are scared of failure, you'll be less likely to generate ideas. So if you're high in neuroticism, it makes you scared to act on your new ideas. But here's the thing. You need to remove that guilt. If you're high in creativity, you need to just keep making new ideas, keep making new decisions, and execute. 100 of them will fail. Out of those 100, one of them might be semi-successful. You work on that a little bit, that might make you richer than literally everyone around you. That might make you more successful than anyone you've met in your small community. I truly feel like that's what happened to me. Now, alhamdulillah, I have businesses that I don't really discuss that much on this channel. I have a few other online businesses that I also don't discuss on here. But even on this channel alone, if you look at, the numbers, it's not too crazy. But I got overall, how many followers? About 4,000 followers on Instagram plus YouTube. So I get messages from people saying I've encouraged them to start praying. I've encouraged them to start, taking their deen more seriously. They got into martial arts. They got into fitness. They got into psychology. They became less depressed after watching some of my podcast episodes. How much would you normally have to work to get to that level if you're not high in openness and you're not good at communicating? You need to study Islam. You need to study, psychology, probably more than me. You need to study a whole bunch of stuff. And then you get to a level where you are maybe like a university lecturer or something. I managed to do it on social media simply because I'm good at generating ideas and I'm good at expressing them in the correct manner. So, right here in this video, I need you to figure out what your personality type is. If you are high in neuroticism, which is very, very likely, that's going to be a massive problem for you. Because guess what? Muslim communities don't like neurotic people. They have no tolerance for them. So if you're neurotic, you are anxious and you are depressed and you feel guilty about everything. Now, most women are neurotic, and that sometimes serves them pretty well when they become mothers. But if you're a man and you're neurotic like me, no one's going to like you much. Everyone's going to think you're a pussy. So how do you make up for it? You get into martial arts, you get into halal forms of yoga, you get into psychology, journaling. You have to remove that anxious side of you. You need to regulate it every single day for you to be able to keep up with others. Now, you might watch my videos and think I am, some people might think I'm quite a stable person because, I don't get emotional. I'm not like, I'm not very hyperactive. But I am actually that kind of person. I regulate it every day by doing martial arts and working out and that sort of thing. And I keep my mind very empty as much as I can. However, there are people who aren't like that. If I was born as a different person and I didn't study psychology and I didn't become a Chad, that person would be a very, very big loser. His life would fall down the cliff. Why didn't it happen to me? Because I broke the script. That's what you're going to do in this video. Most of these personality traits have a good side and a bad side. I think neuroticism is the only one that's purely negative. Because even if you're disorderly, that can actually be good because you can create more opportunities. You're not like structured into one thing. You can become massively successful. But if you are neurotic as a man, anxiety and depression, the only good side of this that I've known is it will allow you to, it won't allow you to be complacent. You will always want to succeed more. You always feel like you're a loser compared to everyone else. So that's the only good side of neuroticism. But anxiety and depression during the day is really bad and you need to regulate it. Same thing with being too agreeable. If you're high in agreeableness, which most women are, people will take advantage of you. You won't be able to negotiate. You won't be able to stand up for yourself. You will always be wanting to please people. So that's something you need to regulate as well. Otherwise, you would need to maybe work in an environment where you're taking care of people, like aged care worker or like child care worker or something like that, high school teacher. So something like that. So once you figure out where you sort of lay in the personality scale, then you can start to capitalize on your skills. And if you do it the right way, I believe it's actually safer than following the traditional way. So think about this, replay this video if it's going to help. And if you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button for more videos like this.